Hello and welcome to IBTimes TV. I'm Leanna Brinder, Deputy Business Editor for the International Business Times. Joining me now is Philip Letts. He's the CEO of Blur Group. So hi, Philip.
Hi.
Hi. Well, thanks for joining us. Exciting topic, I suppose. We've had a renaissance in the way we've done business over the last few years, especially through the digital age. What kind of trends have you seen in terms of what businesses are looking for and demands for being bridged with certain people?
Yeah, I mean, I think the switch from analog to digital is probably the big theme of the 21st century. So we've been seeing businesses become more digital, our consumer lives becoming more digital. We've seen books go into digital books, and I think we're really just at the beginning of this journey. So for all businesses, their number one either opportunity or concern right now is how they make the switch to digital, both for their products, their services, the way in which they interact with their employees, the way they interact with other businesses. And obviously at Blur Group, we're a key enabler of that process.
Great. And in terms of the supply chain from, I mean, it's a very complex chain. It doesn't matter whether you're a bookseller or whether you're dealing in certain, I suppose, even like other physical products. There's a huge complex supply chain going on. How does, I suppose, digital platforms like yourself help make that process much more simple?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at commerce platforms and you look at the history of commerce platforms on the internet, with the likes of Amazon and eBay, and you look particularly at Amazon, this is a great example of a huge logistics exercise. In the end, the front-facing part of Amazon, what we see on the web, is the easy part. The hard part is how you take a product, a book, a DVD, or whatever it might be. How do you move that cost effectively and efficiently from warehouse to delivery to home to happy customer? For us, obviously, Blur Group is an S-commerce platform, which is all about services commerce. So it's where businesses can buy, manage, pay for services, and because our challenge is different because services are not tangible. We don't have the physical movement problem. For us, the challenge has been much more about how do you build technology that works for things that are inherently intangible, which is what services are. And our logistics piece is much more really about how we help match buyers and sellers and manage the delivery of services in a global world, because unlike goods, you can move services anywhere as long as you've got currencies that transact, and we have payment systems within our platform, and obviously we've got a lot of experience with web currencies and web payment systems. You can have a buyer of a website with a deliverer of a website, and they could be 5,000 miles away, and that's a different challenge that we've managed to crack.
Well, especially on the services side of financing. I mean, on Blur Group, you guys have obviously dealt with thousands of different businesses across loads of different markets. So what have you seen in terms of their challenges in getting financing to get their projects either started or continue for the future? Yeah,
I mean, we in fact, we every so often we do some research, obviously, with our ecosystem. We now have nearly 30,000 businesses on the exchange doing S-commerce in 141 countries, and that's growing by just about 1,000 businesses a month now. So we see a lot of businesses, and they come to our S-commerce platform to transact with each other. And since our generation of technology companies, which is the kind of post-Lehman's collapse, interesting place to do this interview, but post-Lehman collapse, it's been a very, very, very difficult environment for any business, particularly emerging growth companies, to get the right level of financing. And I think that's even more acute as you go east from Silicon Valley. I think there's always a healthy market over there if you're a very competitive technology business. I think for services companies, technology businesses, growth businesses in general, as you've kind of moved east, I think that challenge has got more difficult. Banks have clearly, had less money lend. Governments have clearly, been constrained. Venture capital has gone on a bit of a downturn, really outside of Silicon Valley. It's gone on quite a downturn for the last 5, 6, 7 years. The returns haven't really been there, so there's less and less businesses being financed. So I think the new opportunities, and there will be new opportunities, will probably come around alternative financing. It's very early days for that, but we think that crowdfunding has got some interesting opportunities, particularly in the kind of smaller end, the more consumer style, project-based opportunities, and we're very interested in that for our partners. We recently announced an initiative and a partnership to our ecosystem that help them do invoice payments, so that you can, the old days of invoice factoring, you can do much more efficiently online now. So we see ourselves as being one of the facilitators of better financing and better payments within the market. I mean, ultimately, the biggest challenge for services businesses is they tend to get paid a lot later than they deliver the work. And that's something that clearly platforms like ours bridge and make a lot healthier.
Okay, well, on the crowdfunding side, it's not, in a way, it's not as simple as a lot of people think, because there's lots of different types out there, depending on whether you're a micro business, a medium-sized business, or someone who's just working out of their bedroom with the next biggest tech, big tech product. So in terms of crowdfunding, how long has that really been going on for, and has it really evolved past the fringe financing stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of alternative currencies and crowdfunding both have a common myth, which is that they're new. They're not at all. Crowdfunding's been around for over, I think, nearly 130 years. The base of the Empire State Building was financed through crowdfunding, and tens of thousands of New Yorkers participated in that. And there's been, obviously, we've seen microfinancing in the last kind of 30, 40 years, particularly in developing countries. There's other forms of structured financing that are being organised, particularly with, again, developing poorer nations. I mean, one could argue that the charitable sector has been a huge crowdfunding exercise, and it is. So I don't think people should worry that crowdfunding is something that's new. I don't think it is. I think it's better lent to very small projects, and I think it's better lent to kind of social projects or giving type projects. And there's a great deal of platforms. You do searches on crowdfunding, you'll generally find it's in the sort of the small loans area for projects or businesses and the creative communities. I think the next opportunity is where crowdfunding kind of grows up a little bit and starts to deliver more structured financing to businesses, both particularly emerging startups, growing businesses. And that's a space that I think is just starting out. There's some peer-to-peer lenders. There's some angel groupings. I mean, we ended up organising our own crowdfunding as a business before we went public through very well-known angels across Europe, and that was largely because we thought the space was still a little young, but we think it's got a lot of potential going forwards.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time today. And that was Philip Letts, CEO of Blur Group.